Well, it is now time to get your legal questions answered because joining us now is Michael Timberlake with our friends at Timberlake, League and Brooks. But in the meantime, I want you to go ahead and call or text us if you have a legal question, 256-536-0077. Today, we are talking about trick-or-treaters and trespassing, and this is a very timely topic as Halloween is on Friday.
Yeah, that's all right. We take the holiday, they take time before the holiday to remind everybody, look, if you're going to open up your property or your house to trick-or-treaters, which is a wonderful thing to do, then do take some time ahead of time to make sure that they have safe passageway from the streets up into your yard, onto your porch or whatever. So look and make sure that you blow off the leaves, look for problems. If there are holes in the yard, try to take care of that. Don't leave any traps out for trick-or-treaters. And people have a different obligation to people they invite on their property or people that are necessarily trespassers. In a trick-or-treat situation, if your lights are on Halloween, that's going to be an invitation, basically,
Right.
that we're going to understand. But you don't owe the same duty to a trespasser as you would to somebody that you invite on your property. If you invite somebody on your property for a non-business use, you just have the obligation to tell them, hey, about known defects, about problems that you have on your property that could potentially injure them. As to a trespasser, you don't have an obligation to notify them of anything. In fact, a trespasser basically, if you trespass on somebody else's property, the homeowner is only going to be responsible if they do something that recklessly or intentionally injures you. You can't set traps on your property to hurt trespassers. That's against the law. But in general, there's much less of a duty to our responsibility to trespassers than you do for people that you invite, like trick-or-treaters.
That is so good. I'm glad we are covering this topic because I know a lot of people have questions about it.
Sure.
And speaking of that, we do have a caller on the line. Good morning. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead with your question.
The question is the difference between a trust and a will, and which is best?
Well, that's a good question, and it really depends on your circumstances. In Alabama, going through the probate process is fairly easy. You can designate certain property in a will, and then it passes when you pass away. There is some tax advantage to giving property away when you pass away, as opposed to in your lifetime, and that's why sometimes a will is better than a trust. And depending upon what the motivation is for passing your property during your lifetime, a trust is a vehicle that can do that, but it's not always the best vehicle. So, what I tell people in that situation, if you're looking at what you want to do with your property currently or when you pass away, you need to sit down with an attorney and talk about, one is how to do it, and then who you want to give it to. And then the third thing is always look at what are the tax consequences, because you don't want to create a taxable event for somebody if you don't have to, or yourself. So those are things that you want to do when you're doing any kind of estate planning.
I love how every time we do this segment, it always comes back to the wills and the trust.
Wills and the trust, exactly.
It's needed.
Yeah, you can give people property during your lifetime or put it into a trust, but it doesn't have the same effect, and it may not be beneficial. A lot of people talk about living trust. Most lawyers will advise against that kind of thing.
Really? Why would they do that? Because I've been hearing a lot about that lately.
It's a vehicle that can be used for certain circumstances, but it may not be the best for everybody in their circumstances.
Okay, that does make sense right there.
Right.
Well, we're winding down on time. Is there anything else that you want to add about the trespassing? Because I know when you're going out trick-or-treating, which I'll be doing with my little kids, if I see those signs up that says no trespassing, I'm not going onto your property.
Right. I mean, basically, if people don't want people on their property, then on Halloween, probably the best thing to do is just turn off your lights. Don't make it a place where you're going to be invited. If you want to be more strict about that, you can put a no trespassing sign somewhere near the street, near the sidewalk, and then that way people will take that, at heart, and more than likely won't come to your door to bother you. We also worry about, kids and pedestrians in the streets.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be on sidewalks if there's sidewalks available. Not all neighborhoods have sidewalks, and with all the kids on the streets on Halloween, you just need to be really, really careful about driving around in neighborhoods.
Oh, some great tips. Sounds like you've done this a time or two.
I've been there. I've been there before.
But at least you don't have to do it in the cold this time.
That's right.
That's good.
It's going to be a little chilly.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you all for calling. Thanks so much for our caller. If you did not get your question answered, remember we do this every single Monday, or you can just give our friends over at Timberlake League and Brooks a call. Thank you, Michael, for stepping by. It's always a fun.
Always a good time.